And we begin with breaking news coming in from Northeast Portland. Police say at least one person was shot and injured. This is near 82nd and Milton. Details still unfolding from that shooting in the last couple hours.
Early reports suggest the victim was taken to the hospital, but still too early to tell how seriously injured they are. Police began clearing the scene in the past 20 minutes. If you know anything about this, contact Portland Police. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko. Another story we're following closely, an update on police and body cameras. And while that's still in the works for Portland, north of the Columbia, the city of Camas will soon become the first in Clark County to get its officers wearing them.
City leaders put more than $300,000 toward a body camera program last November. Our Tim Gordon is in Camas for us. And Tim, they moved pretty fast on this.
Yeah, that's right, Laurel. They did. Partly a benefit of being a relatively small department with 30 officers. But, you know, they also knew what they wanted. And they found it in a company named Axon that makes the cameras and other equipment and also offers a data storage and management system for all the video clips to come. Now, along with that, they offered some features Camas police liked, like a compatible taser that automatically starts the camera rolling when the taser's turned on. The same for when an officer's firearm is unholstered. And of course, officers will be able to start recording anytime they're doing their job.
I think anytime that you use technology to help in law enforcement, it helps, bridge some of those gaps that are created with the community and things like, trust and transparency. These will definitely be a help.
Now, officers have just a few hours left of training, but some will be ready and wearing the cameras next week. In the meantime, Vancouver PD is still working on getting its program going, hopefully later this year. And the Clark County Sheriff's Office effort is slowed down because voters turned down funding body cameras last November. And back here in Camas, the chief says he expects these recordings to show good police work happening 99.9% of the time. But when things don't go so well, he believes it'll offer context for the public and new training opportunities for officers. Back to you.
A work in progress in a lot of places, but Camas moving ahead. Tim Gordon, thank you, Tim. Well, let us take you back to Portland now, where police are working to track down a shooter that injured a driver and a young child. Now, officers were called to Southeast 82nd and Holgate last night just before 8:30. When they arrived, they found the driver of a vehicle had been grazed by a bullet, and a 6-year-old who was also in the car suffered minor injuries from shards of glass. Now, the victim told investigators someone shot at his car while he was driving. Anyone with information here should contact Portland Police.
To say catalytic converter thefts are on the rise would be an understatement. A new report from State Farm Insurance gives us a stunning glimpse at the rise in catalytic converter thefts in Oregon. Christelle Kumwe joins us from the newsroom with more on this. Christelle.
Laurel, catalytic converters are the most expensive part of the exhaust system. They contain several precious metals that can be sold for thousands of dollars by the ounce. But even with a new state law to crack down on catalytic converters theft here in Oregon, it's still a huge problem, not only on neighborhood streets, but also at the airport.
Yeah, I just decided to go down to LA to visit some friends and family.
Arthur Bermudez left for his weekend trip last Thursday and parked his car in the long-term parking lot at Portland International Airport.
I got back Sunday night, walked over to my truck, turned it on, and right when I heard the song, I know that they had took the cat.
His catalytic converter was gone, stolen while his car was parked at the airport.
And you would expect them to be more secure.
PDX ramped up security this fall specifically because of catalytic converter thefts. There are now more police, private security, and undercover patrols at the airport's parking lots. They've also added signs, more lighting, and even closed an employee exit to deter people from sneaking in. Despite all those efforts, 38 catalytic converters have so far been stolen this year. That's compared to just 7 during the same time period last year. This isn't just a Portland problem. State Farm Insurance reports catalytic converter theft has increased more than 1,000% nationwide since 2019.
With our 2021 State Farm data, Oregon actually ranks 6th in the U.S. for auto part thefts.
Gina Wilkins says claims for catalytic converter theft have skyrocketed in Oregon.
The claims went from 350 claims in 2020 to 1,300 claims in 2021. Make sure that your coverage matches what you need it to cover. Most instances, comprehensive automobile coverage will cover a catalytic converter theft, but always have that conversation with your agent.
Luckily for me, it was cheaper just to pay out of pocket than go through my insurance.
As for Arthur, he says this ordeal has prepared him for his next weekend trip out of PDX.
So I learned a lesson. It's better to, catch a ride share or have someone drop you off.
A new state law started this year stops scrap metal businesses from being able to buy catalytic converters from anyone but commercial sellers or the owner of the car it came from.
Such a maddening crime. Thank you, Christelle.
Well, updating the headlines out of Ukraine for you, what appears to be a significant shift in strategy from Russia, now narrowing its focus on seizing the contested area of Donbass that's in eastern Ukraine. This is a scale back, and it comes as Ukrainian troops have been fighting back advances on the Ukrainian capital. There are reports of counteroffensives also in other key cities. So territory that was firmly in Russian hands now, for the first time in a month, considered disputed. Now, here's the story Moscow is telling. Russian military officials now say attacks on Western targets in the capital were part of a, quote, distraction strategy to tie up Ukrainian resources. Now, U.S. officials say this all could be a shift in the conflict and an about-face of Moscow's original objective of a total Ukrainian takeover. Okay, that update comes with President Biden in Poland visiting U.S. troops, meeting with humanitarian experts and with his Polish counterpart. Crucially, the president said the world's democracies need to stay united, to stick together. He announced the U.S. will increase shipments of natural gas to Europe to wean them off Russian energy. He also condemned President Putin in Russia, saying once again he believes the Russian leader has committed war crimes.
A local doctor from Providence, Portland is telling his story after spending 11 days in Poland helping Ukrainian refugees. Joseph Houghton is an ER doctor for the hospital. He was inspired to travel to Eastern Europe after watching the devastation unfold. About a month ago, he packed up suitcases full of medical supplies and headed to Warsaw, where he often worked 14-hour days. Among the many tasks Houghton helped with was giving expecting mothers ultrasounds. He took his own machine to try to give them peace of mind.
There were several women I encountered that were in their second and third trimesters, and they were very concerned about the health of their baby, having been through this major traumatic experience. So just being able to lay an ultrasound on their abdomen and show the baby was healthy and moving brought big smiles all around. And it was really a gratifying experience.
Oh, what a wonderful thing he did. Houghton is still helping people back in Poland, even though he's home now. He hopes to encourage other medical professionals to consider helping war refugees however they can.
One person, one family at a time. Okay, let's get you to COVID news now. And while we've talked about treatment in the form of a pill, it turns out it's now available locally in urgent care. So our Brian Clerkley joins us in Northwest Portland. Brian, great to see you. This is relatively new. How many doses do they have and who gets it?
Now, hey, David, this is called the Merck antiviral pill, and AFC behind me, they have 24 doses. Now, this is for 24 people in the area, and they gave out the first dose yesterday, but you have to qualify. You have to be 18 and older with an underlying health condition or age 65 and older.
The clinical trials were very compelling that this medicine cuts down the risk of hospitalization and death by about 50% in the right patient population. So this is one course for one patient of molnupiravir.
After being approved by the FDA at the end of 2021, this new COVID-19 treatment in the form of a pill is now going into the mouths of patients. Here at AFC Urgent Care, they've already started giving out the first dose. Dr. Andy Miller says AFC is the first clinic in the Portland Metro to administer these pills. How it works? Doctors test you for COVID. If you come up positive and you're over the age of 18 with an underlying health condition or over the age of 65, then you qualify.
It's 4 pills twice a day for 5 days. So we are able to dispense all 40 pills in a bottle. We hand it off to the patients who qualify at the end of their visit after they've had
Dr. Miller says the first patient did not even know the pills were a treatment option. He says the pills are free for patients because the federal government has already covered the $700 cost for each bottle. This is part of President Biden's Test to Treat program.
What we've learned over the last couple of years is that COVID's not going away. We need strategies to be able to cope with it and get back to normal life.
Dr. Paul Cieslak with the Oregon Health Authority says the Merck pills are great, but do have some limitations.
It can't be given to children and it can't be given to pregnant women. So with those caveats, if that's the pill that's available to you and you're at high risk, we would recommend it.
And Dr. Miller says you can get the treatment whether you've been vaccinated or not. You just have to qualify, and he expects that they'll run out of these 24 doses by the end of the weekend, and then that's when they'll order more. And OHA says there's another treatment in the form of a pill called Paxlovid that is almost 90% effective in keeping people out of the hospitals. Laurel, David.
Great to see more options as we all learn to live with this virus. Thank you, Bryant.